There are two approaches that we can take towards interacting with people. We can take a directive approach to communicating or a non-directive approach, right? If I was to give you an example here, think about what you would receive if you went to university and you were standing in the auditorium, you got an instructor or a teacher or a professor behind his lectern delivering some information. Now, when some information is being delivered, you know that you have X amount of time to take as many notes as you physically can, or you might be recording everything that's being talked about, and then you've got to go away and somehow organise all of this information into a format that makes sense for you. Because if you don't do this, then you're not going to progress in your studies. All right, so this model of communicating is more directive, where we're kind of people pushing. We're throwing information or an agenda at people that people need to pick up and carry for themselves. So we're kind of putting stuff on people. When we do this, we're maybe teaching or we're telling. So sometimes there's a time for directive communication, but then sometimes there's a time for non-directive communication. And our opportunity, as we grow in competency and as we develop these kind of skilled helping skills, is understanding the difference between the two. Directive is more heavy-handed information delivery. I'm telling you, I'm teaching you, I'm voicing some opinions, I'm advising here. The assumption here is that I have some information that you need, and just say nothing, listen much, open your ears and catch what I'm cooking. Capture everything that I'm throwing your way. It's directive. Now, it can be helpful in some contexts. In other contexts, it can be unhelpful. Think about the last time that you tried to advise someone in an area of their life that they hadn't asked you for advice in. Then think about the response that you got. Maybe this person shut down on you, or just became closed to you, or resisted you. Maybe a child. You try to advise in an unsolicited way. Can you think about a time when you've tried to advise or tell someone what to do and it just wasn't received very well? So now, by asking you a question, by putting the learning ball in your court, I'm telling you what I'm doing here. I'm helping you to raise your awareness. Now, I'm not helping you to raise awareness by telling you and by teaching you and giving you information. I help you to raise awareness by asking you questions that will urge you to think about what's true for you. Yeah? So I'm here trying to help you by being a little bit directive and also a little bit non-directive. There's information that I need to give you, there's information that I must push in your direction, but the information will just be head knowledge unless I encourage you to reflect upon the information and grow through it. So I ask questions. The only reason I share with you this model is so that you can become more aware of what your typical default setting is. Because some people get stuck in a way of communicating for life and say, this is just me, this is just who I am, it's just how I communicate. And that's nonsense. It's how you've learned to communicate, but it's not the only way. All right? Think about TED Talks. Have you ever watched a really good TED Talk? I have. I've watched many really fascinating TED Talks, and I've also watched some really boring ones. I've watched some really tedious ones. I've watched some TED Talks that left me with more questions than answers. But is that good or is that bad? What would have allowed me to benefit more from a TED Talk? If it was less of a discourse and more of a dialogue? Of course. So what is a skilled helping conversation? A discourse, a monologue, or a dialogue? Well, this is kind of what we want to start thinking about. And this is really all I want you to do here. All right? I just want you to take a little bit of time for your own self-awareness of your own growth, just to get clear on what your current communication style default setting is. Do you tend to be more non-directive in your communication style, where you're naturally asking people questions to understand them, to help them understand themselves. Because if you're interested in people, if you're genuinely interested in people, you're going to ask questions to understand. Take, for example, parenting, a great example. How many parents do you know that take a directive approach to raising their kids? Do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. What would a non-directive approach to parenting look like? Did you do that? Why did you do that? Let's talk it through. Is there a better way of behaving that might get you more of what you want? Is that the only way of behaving right now? Is there a better way of behaving? What do you think would work better for you? What could you do next time that might be better? Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. So listen, this isn't a parenting masterclass. I certainly don't have the life experience to teach parenting. I certainly don't. However, I do understand some fundamental principles, and the same goes for leadership, right? You might be in management or leadership, and you can take a directive, do this, do that, authoritarian leadership management style. And, some people might be scared of you, some people might be intimidated by you, but what do you reckon might happen through your management or leadership if you were to take more of a non-directive approach? Okay, right team. So in the last week, I can see we've had this outcome. So-and-so, you've done well. So-and-so, you've done well. So-and-so, Jim, you've done this well. And we've all been working really hard. I can see this. But we haven't quite, as a team, met the mark. Could we reflect on what we've done well last week, what we haven't done well, just so we can essentially raise awareness of the whole team, so that next week, if any of us see anyone punching in an unsmart way or conducting themselves in an unproductive way, as a team, we can get behind everyone and hopefully become more productive or fruitful.